including 2 children killed in Israeli strike on UNRWA school. And EU leaders to step up sanctions against Iran. Good afternoon, I'm Brendan Lepal and this is World Today. 4, including 2 children, were killed and dozens others injured following an Israeli airstrike on a school run by the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, in Gaza City. Hundreds of Gazans were residing in the school as a shelter following 6 months of relentless airstrikes and bombardments of Gaza City. On Tuesday, the agency said it had found unexploded 1,000-pound bombs inside schools after Israel pulled troops out of southern Gaza's main city, Khan Yunis. UN agency led an assessment mission in Khan Yunis after Israeli forces withdrew from the embattled city last week. It has found significant challenges in operating safely due to the presence of unexploded ordnance, including 1,000-pound bombs inside schools and on roads. Earlier this month, the United Nations said it would take millions of dollars and many years to decontaminate the Gaza Strip from unexploded munitions. Nearly 34,000 people lost their lives, with thousands of others feared dead, still lost among the ruins, and millions were displaced following Israeli siege on the Strip. In another matter, UNRWA warned on Wednesday that a man-made famine is tightening its grip across the Gaza Strip. UNRWA Commissioner General Filipe Lazzarini accused Israel of blocking aid deliveries and seeking to end UNRWA's activities in the enclave. The agency provides education, health and aid to millions of Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Syria and Lebanon. Since war erupted 6 months ago between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, UNRWA has been described by top UN officials as the backbone of aid operations. Israel has long complained about UNRWA and in January accused the dozens of its 13,000 staff in Gaza of being involved in an attack on Israel. Lazzarini said UNRWA is facing a campaign by Israel to push it out of the territory. He also said UNRWA premises and staff have been targeted since the beginning of the war, as 178 UNRWA personnel have been killed. The United States recognizes UNRWA's indispensable role in delivering aid in Gaza and called for the lifting of restrictions on its work. Meanwhile, UNRWA said in a report published on Wednesday that some of its staff members and other people detained by Israeli forces were subjected to ill treatment, including severe beatings and being forced to strip naked. Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi on Wednesday warned of a severe and heavy response if Israel makes the slightest move to violate Iranian territorial integrity and harm its national interests.
اگر کوچکترین تعرضی از ناحیه رژیم صهیونیستی به خاک وطن ما صورت بگیرد و به منافع جمهوری اسلامی ایران یقین بدانند برخوردی بسیار شدید و سهمگین با آنها خواهد شد.
Iran launched more than 300 drones and missiles against Israel on Saturday, its first direct attack on the country, in retaliation for an airstrike attributed to Israel on Iran's embassy compound in Damascus on 11 April that killed elite military officers. Israeli military chief of staff Herzi Halevi had promised that Saturday's attack on Israeli territory will be met with a response, but gave no details. While the Iranian attack caused no deaths and little damage, it has increased fears that violence rooted in the 6-month-old Gaza war is spreading, with the risk of open war between long-time adversaries Iran and Israel. European Union leaders decided on Wednesday to step up sanctions against Iran after Tehran's missile and drone attack on Israel left world powers scrambling to prevent a wider conflict in the Middle East. The summit in Brussels is the first meeting of the EU's 27 national leaders since the attack on Saturday, more than 6 months into the war in Gaza and the Iran-backed Palestinian freedom fighter group Hamas. European Council President Charles Michel said the EU wanted to isolate Iran and engage with other countries in the region to make advances towards a peace process in the conflict. Israel has signaled that it will retaliate but has not said how. EU leaders condemned the Iranian attack and called on all sides to prevent more tensions, including in Lebanon. The EU leaders in a statement from the summit urged all parties to exercise the utmost restraint and to refrain from any action that may increase tensions in the region. The EU has already imposed sanctions on Iran over its supply of drones to Russia for its war in Ukraine, but they have had little effect on cutting the ties between Tehran and Moscow. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and main opposition Congress party leaders Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi wrapped up their campaigns on Wednesday as the world's most populous nation heads to a general election. India is set to begin the world's largest general elections on Friday, held in terrain sweeping from the icy Himalayas to humid jungles, with nearly 1 billion people eligible to choose 543 members of the lower house of parliament. Opinion polls suggest an easy victory for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party when the results are announced on 4th June. But more than 6 weeks will elapse from the time the first vote is cast on 19 April until it is counted. The size of the country and its electorate is the chief reason why the general election takes so long. This year's elections will be India's second longest after the first exercise following independence in 1947 from colonial ruler Britain, which ran for 4 months from 25th October 1951 to 21st February 1952. There are 7 voting days this year, with Friday's first phase seeing people cast ballots for 102 constituencies nationwide. The last polling date is 1st June, covering 57 seats, and all votes will be counted together on 4th June. Meanwhile, Croatia's ruling Conservative Party won the most seats in a parliamentary election Wednesday, but not enough to form a government. Incumbent Prime Minister Andrej Plenković's Croatian Democratic Union, HDZ, won 60 seats in the 151-member assembly, while a centre-left coalition led by Social Democrats SDP won 42. The nationalist right-wing Homeland Movement Party came third with 14 seats, with an ultra-conservative and a Green Left Party won 11 and 10 seats each. Plenković said the party will start gathering a new parliamentary majority to form its government on Thursday morning. SDP leader Peja Gerbin admitted that the results were not what the party wished for, but said they showed that people wanted a change. Analysts estimate the ultra-conservative has a big negotiating potential which could make it a kingmaker in forming a new government. The elections were held after a bitter campaign between Plenković and left-wing populist president Zoran Milanović. For months, Plenković and his HDZ seemed poised for an easy victory that would secure his third term as premier. But in mid-March, Milanović, who tops political popularity surveys, made the shock announcement that he would challenge Plenković and become candidate for the Social Democrats. The United States said on Wednesday it will snap back sanctions on Venezuela's crucial oil industry after President Nicolás Maduro's government continued its repression of opponents. President Joe Biden's administration suspended some sanctions after Maduro's government and the opposition agreed in Barbados last October to hold a free and fair vote in 2024 under the watchful eye of international observers. But the thaw ended when Maduro's opponents were not allowed to run against him in elections, and the United States said Caracas had now failed to make progress ahead of an 18 April deadline. Oil companies would have a winding down period until 31st May to comply with the sanctions. However, the State Department said Washington would continue to assess sanctions policy based on the Maduro government's actions leading up to the election. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, but production has plummeted after years of mismanagement and crushing sanctions. Caracas vowed its oil sector would keep going, regardless of U.S. policy. Coming up, 6 people arrested in connection with $22 million Canadian heist. Stay tuned.
Program Sejati Madani merupakan inisiatif baharu kerajaan Madani bertujuan untuk merancangkan aktiviti ekonomi di peringkat komuniti. 5 sektor tumpuan yang telah ditetapkan iaitu pertanian dan makanan, jahitan dan kraft tangan, harba dan kesihatan, pelancongan dan hospitality, serta aktiviti hijau dan kitar semula. Pemohon yang layak boleh membuat permohonan secara dalam talian dengan melayari pautan sistem sejatimadani.icu.gov.my. Sejati Madani merancangkan ekonomi komuniti.
Welcome back. Canadian and United States authorities said on Wednesday that 6 people have been arrested and 3 more are being sought in connection with what they called the largest gold heist in Canadian history. A cargo of over 22 million Canadian dollars in gold and currency. The suspects, including 2 Air Canada employees, forged an airway bill to steal a cargo arriving from Switzerland of 6,600 gold bars, weighing 400 kilograms and $2.5 million in foreign currency. Speaking exactly 1 year after the heist, which took place at an Air Canada cargo facility at the Toronto Pearson International Airport, Peel Regional Police at a press briefing named the 9 suspects and detailed the 19 charges they face. 5 suspects were arrested in Canada and released on bail pending trial. 1 suspect, originally from Brampton, Ontario, was arrested in Pennsylvania, along with firearms, and remains in custody in the United States. Canada-wide warrants have been issued for the remaining 3 suspects. Air Canada said it had suspended 1 cargo division employee charged in the theft, while the other, who worked in the same department at the time of the heist, had left the airline before the charges were announced. Netherlands handed over another 3 F-16 fighter jets to a training facility in Romania on Wednesday, where Ukrainian pilots and ground staff are being taught to fly and maintain the planes in battle. The Netherlands has been one of the driving forces behind an international coalition to supply Ukraine with F-16s to strengthen its air defense against the Russian invasion. Denmark, the Netherlands and the United States expect to deliver the first batch of dozens of F-16s to Ukraine within a few months after establishing the pilot training program and donating aircraft. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called the donation a breakthrough agreement last year and said the planes would strengthen Ukraine's air defenses and help its counter-offensive against Russian forces. However, US officials have privately said the jets will not be a game changer when they eventually arrive after months of training, given the strength of the Russian Air Force and its defense systems. Russia's President Vladimir Putin last month said the F-16s would not change the situation on the battlefield and would be shot down by Russian forces. The Dutch had already delivered 8 of the promised total of 18 F-16s to the training facility since November. In other news, the European Court of Justice on Wednesday ruled that the name of late Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar cannot be registered as an EU trademark after his brother tried to lay a claim. The court upheld the decision of the EU's Intellectual Property Office, EU IPO, that refused a trademark application by Escobar Inc. in 2022. EU IPO correctly found that those persons would associate the name of Pablo Escobar with drug trafficking and narco-terrorism, and with the crimes and suffering resulting therefrom, rather than with his possible good deeds in favor of the poor in Colombia. Escobar Inc. was founded in Puerto Rico by Pablo Escobar's brother, Roberto de Jesus Escobar Gaviria, who spent 12 years in prison for his role in his brother's criminal organization. Gaviria said in 2020 that his company would launch a foldable smartphone called the Escobar Fold One. The company currently sells a cryptocurrency called Escobar Cash. Pablo Escobar led one of the world's most powerful criminal organizations, the Medellin Cartel. His fortune, made from trafficking cocaine, was estimated by Forbes in 1987 to have reached over $3 billion, although some accounts put it at much higher. Moving on to sports, Real Madrid and Man City's dream of treble. Stay with us. Welcome back. And in sports, Uzbekistan pounds on two individual errors to sink Malaysia 2-0 in their opening Group D match of the 2024 Asian Football Confederation AFC Under-23 Asian Cup at the Khalifa International Stadium in Doha, Qatar, last night. The Harimau Muda squad found themselves trailing early in the match after defender Muhammad Shahir Bashar fouled Ruslanbek Jiyanov in the box. Uzbekistan's keeper Jazurbek Jalolidinov calmly slotted home the spot kick in the 11th minute to put the champions of the 2018 edition 1-0 ahead. Uzbekistan, who also finished runners-up in the 2020 edition and coached by Timur Kapadze, nearly doubled their lead at the end of the first half when Alibek Davronov hit it over the bar from close range. With 10 minutes to go, Uzbekistan capitalized on another mistake by Malaysia to double their lead through Hussein Nurchayev in the 83rd minute. The defeat means Malaysia will now have to get something from their match against Vietnam on 20th April before they face Kuwait in their final group match on 23rd April. In Asian Champions League, South Korea's Ulsan Hyundai will take a 1-0 lead into the second leg of their semi-final clash against Yokohama F. Marinos in Japan next week after Hong Myung Boys hosts carved out a slender advantage on Wednesday. Marinos defender Shinosuke Hatanaka went close to opening the scoring in the 12th minute when he steered wide of the Ulsan goal, while Marinos goalkeeper William Pop denied Won Sang from close range moments later. However, Ulsan took the lead when Lee Dong-kyung struck in the 19th minute against the Harry Kewell coach J-League outfit while appearing in the semi-finals of the Continental Championships for the first time, and the teams will meet again in Yokohama next Wednesday. Jo Hyun-woo saved from Jan Mateus in the 26th minute to maintain Ulsan's advantage, and Jun Amano's effort soon after the restart was deflected wide for a corner as the visitors increased the pressure. The result means Ulsan have booked a spot at next year's Club World Cup as one of Asia's representatives due to their ranking points. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal saw their record run of 34 successive victories and on Wednesday at the hands of UAE's Al Ain in the Asian Champions League. Morocco striker Sofian Rahimi was the star of the show after he scored a first-half hat-trick in a 4-2 win for Al Ain in the semi-final first leg. Rahimi opened the scoring after just 6 minutes from a pass by Yahia Nader and added a second from the penalty spot 20 minutes later after he was brought down by goalkeeper Mohammad Al-Owais, who was yellow-carded for his troubles. Rahimi completed his hat-trick in the 40th minute, again from a penalty, after Ali Al-Bulai chopped down Brazilian defender Eric in the area. Al-Hilal reduced the deficit early in the second period when Malcolm scored from a pass by Sergei Milankovic-Savic. However, the Saudis conceded yet another penalty just before the hour mark when Khalidou Koulibaly bringing down Rahimi. This time, Paraguayan star Alejandro Romero took over spot kick duties to make it 4-1 for Al Ain, the inaugural winners of the Asian Champions League in 2003. Salim Al-Dawsari kept Al-Hilal in a tie ahead of next Tuesday's return leg by scoring his team's second goal of the night in the 78th minute. In European competition, Real Madrid exacted revenge on Manchester City to reach the Champions League semi-finals 4-3 on penalties after withstanding a barrage at the Etihad on Wednesday. Rodrigo gave the visitors an early lead before Kevin De Bruyne hit back for the holders to leave the match level at 1-1 on the night and 4-4 on aggregate. However, City's defender of the competition came to an end after Bernardo Silva and Mateo Kovacic saw spot kicks saved by Madrid's unlikely hero Andrei Lunin. The Ukrainian, who has debutized this season for the injured Thibaut Courtois, had been at fault for City's early opener in a thrilling first leg, but more than made amends. After extra time failed to break the deadlock, Antonio Rudiger scored the decisive spot kick to send Real into the last four in a clash against Bayern Munich. City had not lost at home in the Champions League since 2018, but the holders were held at bay by a heroic defense effort by the 14-time European champions, despite having 34 attempts on goal. In another clash, Bayern Munich emerged triumphant in a slender 1-0 victory over English club Arsenal. The 3-2 aggregate quarter-final victory means Bayern will return to the last four for the first time since winning the title in 2020. Unlike last week's 4-goal spectacle in London, Wednesday's match was a cagey affair with few clear chances for either side in a testy opening half. Midway through the second half, and with extra time on the horizon, Kimmich burst through the Arsenal box and headed in a perfect Rafael Guerreiro chip. Guerreiro, pushed from wing-back to the forwards due to Bayern's injury woes, impressed as a creative presence when freed up from his usual defensive duties. Six-time Champions League winners Bayern joined fellow Bundesliga side Borussia Dortmund, who faced Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-finals. The result continues a poor week for Arsenal, who conceded top spot in the Premier League table on Sunday with their first league loss of 2024. And on to tennis, Rafa Nadal's hopes of winning the Barcelona Open for a 13th time were dashed on Wednesday, following a 7-5, 6-1 second-round defeat by Australian fourth seed Alex de Minaur. The Spaniard was playing his first tournament since January and had made a winning return on Tuesday with his first-round victory over Flavio Cobolli, but the 37-year-old was no match for the in-form de Minaur. De Minaur began brightly, breaking in the opening game, but Nadal broke back to make it 3-all before the Australian made the decisive break and held to take the first set and had little trouble as he strolled to win the second. Nadal, the 22-time Grand Slam champion, managed to win just 2 points on De Minaur's serve in the second set. After being beaten on the court, which is named after him, the Spaniard was given a standing ovation as he made his exit. Nadal returned after almost a year's absence following hip surgery to reach the quarterfinals in Brisbane in January, but he was forced into another break after suffering a muscle tear. The Spaniard's aim is to arrive to Roland Garros, where he has triumphed a record 14 times in peak condition. Norway's 3-time Grand Slam finalist Casper Ruud came out on top in an entertaining 6-3, 6-4 match with Alexander Müller to reach the Barcelona Open third round on Wednesday. The 25-year-old Norwegian, runner-up at the Monte Carlo Masters last week, was broken twice in the first set and allowed Müller to save 10 of 14 break points. However, despite his sloppiness, Ruud still took the set. The third set looked to have sealed the match when he broke his French journeyman opponent in the third game of the second set. However, the world number 6 gave up 4 break points while serving for the match to allow 27-year-old Muller back in at 5-4. Ruud, though, was more clinical in the next game, breaking Muller to progress with his 25th victory in 2024. Will face Jordan Thompson or Jaume Munar in the next round.
Kementerian Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Kos Sara Hidup KPDN sedang mengadakan program jualan rahmah madani di semua kawasan Parlimen dan Dewan Undangan Negeri. Anda boleh dapatkan barangan keperluan harian pada harga yang berpatutan dan diskaun sehingga 30%. Datuk nak pergi mana ni?
Pastinya ke program jualan rahmah madani. Kepada anda yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat, tarikh dan lokasi penganjuran program jualan rahmah madani di sekitar anda, sila layari portal KPDN. Jangan lepaskan peluang ini. Jom kita nikmati diskaun 10 hingga 30% dalam PJR Madani.
Macam-macam ada. Rahmah itu
Berkat.
And that's it from us this afternoon. A recap of top story. 4, including 2 children killed in Israeli strike on UNRWA school. Join us this evening for more on TV1 and Saul on Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepol. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Goodbye. Take care.